Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional Go player. This is one of a series of videos for beginners in the game of Go. In this video, I'm going to be talking about connected shapes, or good shapes and efficient shapes in Go. So I'll start with a connected shape here. When you have a stone on the board like this, and you put a stone right next to it, it can be vertical or it can be horizontal. When you do that, these two stones are going to be connected. So in general, having stones connected like this is a good thing. It creates a group which shares the liberties. In this series of beginner videos, I started with the rules in which I explained how you can capture stones, for instance. And in this case, white has to surround the 6 liberties in order to capture the 2 black stones. So the more black stones there are, the stronger this group gets as it has more liberties and covers more space. So in general, creating a group like this with connected stones is a good thing. And I will show you an extreme example of that in the middle of the board. In this example, white has played 3 moves locally and is attacking this black stone. When this happens, black can save this stone by moving out. And I don't actually mean that you can pick the black stone up and move it to some other part of the board, because that's not allowed in Go. But you can actually add a stone right next to it to create a group. And when these 2 stones create a group, that means that they're sharing liberties. And suddenly this black group, which was about to be captured, let's just back up 1 move to show that, white was about to play here and capture this black stone by filling its last liberty. So by extending here, black has suddenly created 3 liberties. And since in Go you only put 1 stone down with each turn, this is going to make it very difficult for white to capture these black stones. For instance, if white chases this way, black can extend again. Now if you count black's liberties, these 3 black stones are forming a group to share 4 liberties. And you can see in the center of the board especially, the more you do this, the more liberties you get, and the stronger your group gets. So it becomes very difficult for white to chase and capture this group in the middle of the board. So that's an example of why it's good to be connected like this. It creates a strong group. That said, is it going to be a good idea for black to be playing so many moves in one part of the board? And that's really the subject of this video, because I'm going to talk about more efficient shapes. So let's have black play 2 moves like this. This is called a diagonal connection. And what might be confusing about it is that I have already told you that stones are only connected when they're right next to each other. So they have to be connected to an adjacent intersection through these lines, you might say. And these diagonal stones are not connected, strictly speaking. So if white manages to play both of these points, then the black stones will be diagonally disconnected. So these 2 stones are not connected. Actually, the white 2 stones also are not connected. So this would be a very dangerous and exciting position, actually. But that would be how the 2 black stones could be disconnected. But just to go back 2 moves, if we have a position like this where there are no white stones directly adjacent to the black stones, it turns out that actually black is connected. And the meaning of that is that if white plays here, then what black can do is black can play this point. And when black does that, the 3 black stones are now connected, horizontally and vertically. So they're completely connected. Or if white plays the other point, which would be this one, in this case, black can connect this way, and the stones are connected on this side. So actually, this diagonal move that black has played here is called the diagonal connection, because it is a connected shape and there's no way really that white can cut it, provided black is paying attention and realize what is happening when at some point white might play here and reacts to it. Then it's going to be okay. So that's one shape starting to map out some territory here. It seems to be covering more area than it would have been if that stone was right next to the black stone, in which the area that black seems to be controlling is a bit smaller. So it's a slightly more efficient move when black does this move. This diagonal connection is one of the basic connections in Go, and it can happen on a 9x9 board. If you move on to 13x13 or 19x19 boards, you're still going to be playing this shape. It's still a very effective connected move, which is very good at close quarters. I'll show you a different one now. This shape is called the one space jump, and it's a bit more loose than the diagonal connection, but it still usually functions as a connected shape. If we assume something like this, if black gets to play this point at e7, then black will have a solidly connected shape here. And again, if we compare that to just two stones right next to each other, black has managed to control a larger area towards the side of the board. So that's the way the one space jump functions. You would be worried about, I suppose, this move. And this could get a bit more complicated, but actually the white stone is in a lot more danger than black. For instance, if black plays here, this stone is already in Atari. That means black is about to capture it by playing at this point, which would capture the white stone. So white is in a tight spot already, and white would try to save that maybe by extending here. This would create a group here with 3 liberties, and black might chase it, might try to escape to the side. Already this looks pretty hopeless for white to me. Since capturing stones is not really the theme of this video, I will be going into this in more detail in a separate video. So I'll leave it here, and just believe me for the time being that these white stones are in a pretty hopeless corner. They're not going to escape. So that given, I'm going to say that the one space jump here is also a pretty good connected shape, and it's very efficient. And I have a little game that I show when I want to show what I'm talking about when I say that this shape is efficient. So I'm going to start my game with black playing here and white playing here. And I'm going to say that black has learned to play the one space jump and also the diagonal connection. But white is stuck with just solid connections. So we're going to compare the two styles of play, you might say. So black plays a one space jump here, and white makes a solid connection. This solid connection does make a stronger group than it was before, but you can see that it doesn't cover so much space. Black jumps, white makes a solid connection. And we'll just continue that way up to this point. You can probably already see that black seems to be covering more space. Now let's try some diagonal connections. Black can play a diagonal connection here. And so this already probably fairly convincingly maps out the idea that the one space jump or the diagonal connection are very efficient at covering more space when we compare them to the solid connections that white has been played. But another point that I actually wanted to make with this video is that while these black stones might seem to be sort of scattered around the board like this, in the end, it's important for black to remember to fix them or tighten them up into solidly connected shapes. So we're going to see that in action. I'll just finish the game for you. When white plays here, this is attacking the diagonal connections. So diagonals are always dangerous. But as I was saying before, it's okay if black is paying attention and realizes when white comes adjacent to that black is in danger. So black will answer that by making a solid connection here. So if white had played on the other side, actually this white stone is in danger already, but at the very least black could have made a connection like this on the outside. So those 2 points were interchangeable, and black would have been okay playing one or the other. So when white plays from the outside and black plays here, we can already see this position that looked so loose. It's tightening up into a solid connection here. So these 3 black stones are 100% connected. In fact, if we look throughout the board, these 3 black stones are the only stones that have really established the connection yet. But everything's going to connect up because they're close enough to each other. So we'll see that happen. White continues with this move, and black connects. Again, it's the same story. Black has to remember to play that solid connection when the diagonal connection comes under attack. And now it's just a simple endgame where white seems to be surrounding this area and black seems to be surrounding this area, which is already looking a lot bigger. And I'll just finish the game for you. So white plays here. We can see this is a sound endgame technique where white is closing the border here, the border line between white and black's territory, and white is trying to get inside the black territory as much as possible. So black covers that and white connects. This was a case of the diagonal being in danger. These two white stones were not connected yet, so white backed off to make a connection there. This is a sound endgame play. Black also does the same. And when white plays here, now this black stone is under attack. It's in Atari. It has only one liberty, and black can save it by connecting it to the rest of the black stones. Like this. And now white is diagonal. This is a recurring theme. When you have a diagonal shape like this, you have to worry about being cut off. In this case, by a black move here, which would cut off this white stone. And you might notice this being put in Atari also. So black is threatening to capture it with a move on the A1 point. So white's going to answer there. And we're pretty close to the end of the game. So we'll just finish it here. And you might notice that the black stones have, in the end, they've formed a solid wall that is blocking white from coming into black's territory on the right. And of course, white also has a solid wall. But of course, because black was playing more efficient moves to start with, black managed to push white more or less to the left side, and black has more space on the right. So in the rules video and in the game that I showed in my second video, I did talk about counting territory. So anyone who is interested can count this to see how much black has won by. It is a pretty convincing win for black. So to go back to the beginning, the two connected shapes that I showed today were the diagonal connection here and the one space jump here. And so these are relatively efficient ways for black to connect. In this position, I want to repeat that it's important to pay attention when your opponent comes close to you. So for instance, if white played something like this, this would be putting the one space jump in danger. And it would be wise probably for black to usually connect here. And this would make a solid position. Same goes with a white move here, which black could answer by playing here. And in this case, all 5 of black's stones have connected completely. So this was an example of 2 efficient shapes that can be used on any size of the board. This is a 9x9 board. Even when you progress to larger boards like 13x13 or 19x19, you're still going to be playing these 2 shapes. So they're worth remembering. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, give me the thumbs up and sign up to my channel for more videos. Thank you.